Welcome to Co-Connected Voices, the podcast where lived experience meets trauma-informed truth. I'm Janine, founder of Co-Connected, somatic trauma coach and specialist in narcissistic abuse recovery and neurodivergent well-being. Here we talk about things like workplace trauma, emotional manipulation, nervous system healing, and the power of reclaiming your voice. Whether you're navigating narcissistic abuse, parenting through neurodivergence, or rebuilding after burnout, this space is for you. Let's reconnect, let's embody, let's transform. You're listening to Co-Connected Voices. Let's begin. Hi, I'm Janine, and welcome back to Co-Connected Voices. Today's episode is for every parent who's ever lain awake at night wondering, have I damaged my children because of the relationship I was in? If you've been in or are still in a relationship with a narcissist, that question might haunt you, and you're not alone. I want to start by saying this. The very fact that you're here, listening and reflecting on your parenting, tells me one thing. You care deeply. Narcissistic parents don't spend time worrying about the well-being of their children. You do, and that matters. When you're in a narcissistic relationship, guilt becomes part of the air you breathe. The narcissist often blames you for the children's emotions or struggles. Society tells you to be the perfect parent, which is impossible for anyone, but especially when you're surviving abuse. And your own heart aches for what your children have witnessed or experienced. This guilt can feel paralyzing, but here's the truth. The story isn't over. What your children have experienced is only one chapter. You have the power to write the next ones differently. One of the most damaging tactics in narcissistic dynamics is triangulation, and it's especially painful when children are involved. This can look like turning your children against you through lies, half-truths, or exaggerated stories. Painting you as the bad parent while they present themselves as the fun or easygoing one. Planting ideas in your children's minds about your parenting when you're not there to defend yourself, so they start to doubt your intentions or even remember events differently. I've personally experienced this. Moments where my children came home repeating things I knew didn't come from their own observations, but from seeds planted when I wasn't present. Triangulation isn't just about dividing loyalty. It's about eroding your children's sense of stability and trust. And it's often done so subtly that it leaves you questioning your own reality. Children in these dynamics often experience confusion about who to trust, anxiety and hypervigilance, and feelings of having to choose sides. From a brain science perspective, here's why. Children's brains are still developing well into their 20s, especially the prefrontal cortex, the part that regulates emotions and decision-making. Chronic exposure to conflict or manipulation floods the body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This can rewire the brain for hyper-alertness and survival rather than growth and curiosity. That's why kids may become anxious, withdrawn, or even mimic the narcissist's behavior to survive. And this is known as the mirror neuron. But there is hope. And this is the important part. Children are resilient. Because of neuroplasticity, Their brains can rewire when they experience consistent safety and connection. The presence of one safe, loving parent can buffer so much of the damage. That parent can be you. We also need to talk about generational trauma. Sometimes the patterns you're facing didn't start with you. Trauma is passed down through families in two ways. Relationally, in the way we communicate, cope, or avoid, and biologically. Trauma can even affect how genes are expressed, meaning children may inherit heightened sensitivity to stress. But here is the empowering truth. You can stop the cycle. Every time you model repair instead of silence, accountability instead of blame, compassion instead of control, you are changing the pattern, not just for your children, but for the generations that follow. You can't control what the narcissistic parent does, but you can control your part in the story from here forward. And here's what makes a difference. Validation. Let your children's feelings be heard without dismissing them. Transparency. In age-appropriate ways, gently name unhealthy behavior so they can see it for what it is. Repair and apology. When you get it wrong, own it. Show them what healthy accountability looks like. Boundaries. With both the narcissist and your children, model that it's okay to say no. Encounter experiences. Create safe rituals, traditions, or quiet moments that build trust and stability. You are not perfect. You never will be, and that's okay. What matters is that you are present, you are willing to learn, and you are committed to giving your children the safest, most loving environment you can create. The narcissist may have planted seeds, but you can plant stronger ones. Seeds of truth, compassion, and resilience. You are not the cause of all your child's pain. You are the reason they have hope. If this episode resonates with you, please share it with a parent who needs to hear they are not alone. And if you'd like more tools for parenting after narcissistic abuse, you can find resources and coaching at codennected.co.uk. Thank you for joining me on Codennected Voices. If something in today's episode spoke to you, trust that it mattered. Your story matters. If you'd like trauma-informed support as you heal, grow and reclaim your nervous system, you can connect with me via Instagram at Codennected. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it, subscribe and leave a review. It helps this podcast reach those who are still learning how to feel safe again. Until next time, reconnect, embody, transform. This is Codennected Voices.